What are you doing to stay stress free during this election cycle? I don't know about you, but my emotions are all over the place. Hi, I am Monica Wisdom. I am the host and producer of the Black Women Amplified podcast, and I'm also a coach, a writer, and I help women find their peace, find harmony in their lives, and build a life and business that they love. Thank you for joining us. So, yes, I have a quick question. What do you do to keep calm in this election cycle? It has been something to watch. We're in the midst of a historical moment. We're in the midst of an unprecedented times, and we have some serious choices to make as citizens of the United States. And the whole world is watching. We just finished watching the DNC, which was amazing. And the next step is to get out the vote. So everybody's doing what they need to do to get the vote out. And I just have a question because I've been having a bit of disharmony when it comes to the attacks that are on Kamala Harris. The attacks of her lineage, the attacks of her heritage, the attacks of her qualifications, and many other things that are happening simply because she's a black South Asian woman, a woman of color. And if you're like me, you know that um, you can take some of those things for, you can take some of those insults that other people are doing all over the interwebs very, very personally. And when you take those things personally, it becomes, it can trigger you. It can take you into your own emotions. It can take you into your own traumas because you're listening to people talk about somebody, whether you like her or not. Words from other people, words matter, and how people are approaching this situation is very reminiscent of a lot of things that we've had to deal with as Black people and people of color in this country and around the world. So, my question is again, what are you doing to stay calm? I was in talking about the election. There's a lot of things and choices that we have to make, and I was talking to a friend about it, and I said for me the choice is so much bigger than any one candidate because what we're choosing is our way forward in the future as American citizens. It's like, do we want to go back to 2016 and 2018, 2019, 2020 um, with a person who mismanaged our our country, or do we want to go forward with a new idea, a new situation where we can actually heal as a country? We have the potential to heal as a country. And it's going to be very challenging to get there, but I think everybody's tired of being angry, of being out of harmony, of falling out with friends and family over politics. And I know personally, I've had people that I have said, oh, wait, I, I don't know if I can move forward in our friendship. Not just because of politics, because you see a different side of a person's thinking. I'm much more logical than to out with somebody over a difference of opinion. But there's a distinction between a difference of opinion and how people think. And so I wanted to dig just a little deep into this, but more focus on the question of how do we stay calm? How do we stay focused on ourselves? How do we maintain our self-care in such a season of highs and lows, right? You've got the high, you feel jubilance, you feel enjoyment. Then there's a lot of work to do, and then there's a lot of things that are coming up and people that you might have thought you were in harmony with. And you're discovering that they have a different way of thinking than you ever thought. A lot of people are very good at masking um, certain parts of themselves. 80% you might get along with, but there's 20% that you're just like, wait, where did that come from? But people are great at masking those things. And so there was a survey, speaking of the political scene, there was a survey. I'm a part of a group called Win with Black Women, and it's a phenomenal group. And they started in 2020 when Kamala Harris was running for president. And they came together, and I was a part of that group. I completely forgot that I was a part of that group back then. And so when Joe Biden stepped down, this group convened that same night. 44,000 women were on one Zoom call. It was magical and raised over almost $1.5 million. I think they're up to $2.6 million now to raise for the campaign. But there was a survey inside of their group, their private group, and the survey was talking about what are your top concerns in this election cycle. And the 5 things were reproductive rights, immigration, gun safety, I'm reading from my notes, tax relief, and what's happening over in the Middle East. So the top concern was reproductive rights. That was way above everything else. And the least concern was what's happening over in the Middle East. And in between that, gun safety was number 2, which I understand. People, gun safety is gun issues are a problem in America. I've traveled all over the world, and we have a definite problem that other countries don't have. But reproductive rights, I was thinking about that, and reproductive rights are, when I was studying last year at Cornell University Women's Entrepreneurship, I had to do, part of my work was to do research to find out my subject matter. And I used Black Women Amplified as my focus. So I needed to do research on Black women. Very little research out there. There are certain demographics of Black women that are covered, but one thing that was disturbing to me is I came across an article on the Yale School of Medicine's website that said Black women excluded from important medical studies due to weathering because of racism. And I was devastated by that. So, meaning that they don't even study us as Black women because we're getting sicker quicker than any other demographic, and we're dying earlier than any other demographic, specifically because of racism. So, when I look at what's happening with all of the people questioning, is Kamala Black? What is she? Is she a citizen? Is she all this? And is she all that? In fact, there's a group that is coming out saying that she's not qualified to be a citizen, according to the Dred Scott decision that happened in the 1800s, that Black people are not human and that we are not citizens of the United States based on this decision from the 1800s. So things like that are just ridiculous, but they can be very triggering because we're always questioned about who we are, what we represent. Are we as citizens? Are we still 3/5 of a person, like it says in the Constitution? Even though there were amendments to ratify it, they didn't take it out of the Constitution. I personally think they need to take that shit out of the Constitution. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But they don't want to mess up their precious document. That's fine, but just erase it. And let's move on, that we are all citizens of the United States of America. And mind you, Black people did not get their full citizenship until the Civil Rights Movement. We had to push for citizenship. We were not citizens of the United States until the Civil Rights Movement, 1960, Civil Rights Act, I think it was 1965 or 1968. And so when you hear those same tropes and same racist conversations and reasoning. Um, it can be really, 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 really devastating, especially if you're not used to it. Um, if you're meaning you're not you're it's some of it seems like it comes out of left field because it's so ridiculous. So if you're not used to observing people being extremely to the extreme of what racism is, because some people don't have that experience every day. And so when you experience it, it can just trigger and make you upset or angry or sad. It makes me sad more than anything that people still think of us as, not human and think of us as not American citizens, even though many people, our lineage goes back 10, 12 generations before many people even came through Ellis Island. So anyway, so I just want to talk about 3 ways that we can um, kind of like stay in our self-care and protect our peace. And one of the ways is to limit our media consumption. We're inundated with so much media between social media, conversations with people, news articles, blogs coming across all of our feeds, as well as television, cable news, regular news, all the things. And it can be a little bit much if we don't limit our time in those spaces. So one thing we have to do, especially because there's so much sensationalism, so we have to take the time and really be a little bit more intentional, especially during this time, because with social media, not only do you have the headline, but you also have the commentary behind it. And so you hear the headline and then you go run to Twitter to see what it's talking about, or you go to TikTok to see what people are talking about, or you go to the comment section and people can be so mean. On top of that, they're bots and all the other things. And the second thing is to focus on what you can control. They're telling us we all have to get involved in this election, which I agree. But here's one thing that can't happen is you cannot convince people to shift their beliefs, because what they believe is just as important to them as what you believe is important to you. So if you take a stance, then the conversation is over and becomes a tit for tat, or it becomes an argument, or it becomes ending relationships. And and maybe that's something that you want, but sometimes you got to take a beat, you got to take a breath, you got to protect your peace, and realize that people are allowed to think what they want to think. And it might sound completely ridiculous to you, but it's important to them. And so you have to really be mindful and aware to focus on what you can control. You can't control what people think. You can't control what people say, but you can control how you respond to it. And I'm not saying, like back up off of them, but what I am saying is ask yourself, is this going to matter? Is this going to matter next week? Is this going to matter next month? Is this going to matter in 5 years? And if the answer is no, just let it go. Like, I wish you heaven, honey. Keep thinking how you thinking. And the third thing is to practice mindfulness and self-care. So when you've had a hectic day, things are already a lot, and then you add this election on top of it, which makes it a lot. And so you just want to really focus on taking care of yourself, staying hydrated, eating really good food, getting your rest, meditation, journaling. If you're really, really angry, like you're just so angry, instead of lashing out on somebody, pull out a pen and a piece of paper and just write it out. Get it out of your system. That's one thing my mother taught me. Happy birthday to my mom. Is that if you can't say it, write it down. And then I say the next step is to burn it, because some things you don't want people to find. But you have to get that rage and that anger and that feeling out of your body. And a really good way to do that is by journaling. I had just put up some really great journals on the Black Women Amplified website. If you go to blackwomenamplified.com and go to the shop, I just designed and created some really cute journals. And they're small enough you can put them in your purse. They're like an 5 by 8. So you can put them in your purse. So if you're out in public and you're like, I'm just so angry, you just write it all down. And it's perforated pages, so you can tear those pages out and slice them up and burn it. Let that energy go. And then affirmations are really great. Just remind yourself that you are safe. I am safe. I am at peace. I am loved. I am cared for. I am nurtured. So when you hear all this vitriol against Kamala Harris, if you're not rebuking it in the name of Jesus, or whatever your belief is, remind yourself that you are safe and you are cared for and you are loved. You are safe, you are cared for, and you are loved. And say that to yourself. I am safe, I am cared for, and I am loved. So you want to be mindful of all the things. So remember that, check your registration to vote, because they're out here playing games. They are out here playing serious games of voter suppression. Um, and it's important that, even though we have a desire, if I'm a person who adores Kamala Harris. I've been following her since she was in the Senate before she ran for president. She was like so tough and on it and sharp in the Senate. And so I was able her and Elizabeth Warren, I used to love to watch them grill people. And it was so smooth. And they did it with grace and a smile, but fierceness that I just loved. So when she ran for president, I started paying attention more. And I researched her and I was like, wow, she's done some really great things in her career. And now to see her have this opportunity, I am very excited about it. And more so excited about her, excited that the backbone of the Democratic Party is going to be representing all of us, be president for all of us. But the closer it gets to the election, the uglier it's going to get. And so we have to be aware of our triggers, and protect our peace. So that was my quick question of the day. What are you doing to stay calm in this political season? I will see you tomorrow. Have an amazing evening if you're watching the replay. And please make sure that you subscribe and tap that notification button so that you know when I go live. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.